Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Canelo Alvarez is stuck in a bad position. Horrible position at the moment. Now, you can say that Canelo Alvarez is the biggest star in boxing. Okay, I'll give you that. But irregardless, he's in a horrible position. What can Canelo Alvarez do? Okay, we saw what happened in the fight with Bivol. But this is the thing. People are talking about in the rematch, Canelo can make adjustments. Let me make this clear. Canelo cannot beat Bivol at 175. He cannot beat Bivol at 168. Bivol is a smaller light heavyweight. He can make 168. Could be a little bit of a struggle because he said he ate a lot of food during the pandemic while he was out for a year. And since then, it's been tough cutting down in weight. But again, Bivol can get down to 168. And it doesn't matter what weight they fight at, what weight they fight at, Bivol is just a better fighter. And he's the bigger man. But the thing is this. I think a lot of people watched that fight between Canelo and Bivol, and they said, you know what? If Canelo would have let his hands go more, he would have won the fight. Yes, he would have won the fight because they were going to rob Bivol. That's why he was going to win the fight. Not because Canelo was going to do something drastic in the fight, which would have possibly resulted in Bivol getting hurt and being knocked out. Impossible, negative. It wasn't going to ever happen. The thing about that fight is Bivol fought with a lot of respect for Canelo. He fought like he was just glad to be there. He fought in the manner of, if Canelo does something to me, I'm going to make sure and do it back and double up. Whatever output he put on me, I'm going to double it up to make sure the judges see that I am getting the edge in the exchanges. If you watch that fight, every time Canelo touched him with one shot or two shots, even if he was catching it on the arms or catching it on his gloves, Bivol immediately countered him or came back with a 5, 10, sometimes 12 punch combination. Lightning fast hands. And I want to underscore this. Bivol wasn't trying to knock Canelo out. He was just there to win. Outbox him. I'm not going to say play it safe. I think he bought a fight which was more just being respectful in the ring. But Bivol didn't even turn it up inside that fight. Bivol did not turn up the heat. Y'all can't tell me between rounds like 8 and 10, if Bivol didn't want to, he couldn't have knocked Canelo out. Bivol could knock Canelo out. He chose not to. Now, if Canelo's smart, he'll leave Bivol alone and figure out what his next move is. Maybe go out there and pick a few of them cherries in Europe. Make some big money, get a win on his record, and get Eddie Hearn back to trumpeting how Canelo's the best thing since Mayweather, or better than Mayweather. That's what Eddie Hearn likes to say. But Canelo's stuck in a rock between a hard place because you go out here and mess around with Bivol, you're going to get beat again. This time, I think Bivol is like, all right, we're going to knock him out. And I think he will knock Canelo out. I think he'll hurt Canelo. Canelo needs to stay away from Bivol. But let's say, okay, light heavyweight isn't the weight for Canelo. We know cruiserweight's not the weight, and all that talk about Usyk, that's out of here now. Not going to happen. Canelo has to come back and deal with those monsters at 168. He can't run no more. If he's not going to sit there and campaign at 175 because his plans to unify the division, that's out of here. All of that's been rescinded. Okay? Canelo has to go back to 168. He has no business at 175. Go back to 168. What's waiting for him? Okay? Now, some of these fighters who I'm going to mention at 160, but they can get up to 168, no problem. Berlanga, more than likely, won't get the fight. Up and coming, still has to prove himself, but he's showing the potential to be something great. But he gets hit a lot, doesn't use his jab the way he's supposed to. He has a lot of things he needs to work on. But there's a lot of potential there. Jaime Munguia, I think that's a great fight. Great fight for Canelo. I think Jaime Munguia beats Canelo. I mean, Munguia, I don't know why people don't give that man credit. Munguia is a monster. Yeah, he had some ups and downs against Hogan because his defense wasn't as tight as it could be. But Munguia is a problem for anyone. You have to shoot him. I call him an alien. Munguia is an alien to me, and he's just not normal. But Munguia and Canelo is a fight that I'm sure would be a promoter's dream if they had it in Mexico. That would sell out big time. Anywhere Canelo goes, he's going to sell out. But that would be huge in Mexico. But I would give Munguia the edge. Chris Eubank Jr. It's another fight. Canelo will probably never give it to him, but it's a big fight in Europe. If Canelo came and decided to fight Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. has no problem getting to 168. Demetrius Andre. That's another good fight for Canelo. Andre is campaigning at 168 right now, chasing the money. But more than likely, he'll probably never get that shot. And Canelo is making fun of him, talking about he fights nobody, his fights are boring, he just wants a payday. And I feel sorry for Andre because Andre would definitely have a good chance at clipping Canelo. So the next person that Canelo has to look at and think about what he's going to do, you come back to 168, you got, what's his name, Durrell. Durrell is a good option for him. Although Benavidez beat Durrell, Durrell recently had a nice knockout where he dropped an uppercut on his opponent and got him out of there. It could be a knockout of the year candidate. Then you have Benavidez and Charlo. I personally think Benavidez is going to lose to David Lemieux. Kind of hard to go against Benavidez, I get it, but I just think if Benavidez is standing with his hands down by his waist like he likes to throw, Lemieux's going to catch him. And Lemieux has concrete in his fist. If he catches him, Benavidez is out of there. But let's say he gets beyond David Lemieux, then, Benavidez is waiting for Canelo at 168. Even if he doesn't get past Lemieux and Lemieux clips Benavidez, Lemieux and Canelo is the fight to make. And I'm very confident Canelo would pick Lemieux over David Benavidez. And then there's, the Houston Hammer, one of the two Houston Hammers, Twin Charlo, Big Jamal. That, to me, the fight to make in Mexico is Munguia or Benavidez, but I would say more Munguia. The fight to make here stateside, I'd say Jamal Charlo, man. Benavidez is a good fight. So I think the three guys which would really capture the minds or the imagination of boxing fans would be Munguia, Charlo, or Benavidez. But at the same time, there's really nowhere for Canelo to run anymore. I mean, he stays at 175, he's screwed. He goes up any further, he dies. He comes down to 168, he's in trouble. He got monsters waiting for him, just waiting to get that opportunity. And Canelo's not, it's just this high guard and walk you down and pop shot you. That's not going to work against these guys. Charlo, boxer, puncher, moves around, lateral movement, in and out, power in both hands, decent speed. Benavidez, crazy speed, crazy power, but he'll stand in front of you, and that can be problematic. Edgar Berlanga, no jab, he just tries to throw out power punches. Canelo would tear his ass up. Berlanga has work to do. Demetrius Andre, problem for anybody. Has power, can box, unorthodox. Just one of those styles that works for him, and you get in there and you just can't figure him out. And then you have Eubank Jr., who's looking really good under the tutelage of Roy Jones Jr. But he likes to bang, he likes to stand there. And it'll be interesting to see him and Canelo. Stylistically, that would probably be Eubank Jr. and Munguia. Stylistically, would be the most entertaining fight for Canelo. Whether Canelo wants to fight Eubank Jr. or not is a whole other thing. But stylistically, because Eubank Jr., Roy Jones has him dancing and boxing, but Eubank Jr. will stand and fight. Like, he likes a good terror. So I think that makes a good fight in Europe. Then Munguia and Canelo in Mexico. And Munguia is another one. He's going to fight you. He can box. His defense has gotten somewhat better, but he still gets hit a lot. But that's a fight. That's a toss-up. So Canelo, there's really nothing else to do because he's went and picked and ate all the cherries out there in the division. Unless he starts going for these guys with no names. They got Ryder floating around. They got a couple other names floating around out there. I'm not going through that list, but there's really nothing else for Canelo to do. It's time for him to go out there and start fighting these killers, man. Like he really has no other options. He's stuck between 168 and still trying to fool around at 175 where he's gonna get hurt. So he's got to come back down to 168, and he's gonna have to pick a formidable opponent. It's just like it's that time. It's time for him to do it. But that being said, man, that's the latest and greatest on Canelo. We'll see what happens with Benavidez and Lemieux tonight. But I do feel if Lemieux wins, that's who Canelo's going to go for. And if Benavidez looks spectacular, he's definitely not getting the fight. But if Lemieux takes some damage but comes out victorious, that's who Canelo's going to go at. He's not going to go for Jamal Charlo. He's not going for Benavidez. He's not going for Pete Durrell, Munguia, and any of these other guys. I definitely think Lemieux is the guy who they're counting on winning. And if he wins, that's who he's going to go after. But for me, and I think a lot of fans, we want to see him square up with Charlo or Benavidez. But it's not really up to us, is it? But anyway, that's the latest and greatest on Canelo, man. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze. Take care. Y'all be safe this weekend. And I'll holler at y'all tonight after the boxing. Easy.